If you're watching this, there's a good chance you've had questions you've never spoken out loud. Questions about your body, your habits, and how they might be affecting you now that you're not in your 20s anymore. Masturbation is one of those topics most men don't talk about openly, especially as they get older. It's personal, it's private, and for some, it's wrapped up in years of silence, mixed feelings, or even guilt. You might be wondering if it's still okay to do it at your age, if it's healthy, or if it could be having effects you haven't noticed. Maybe you've heard conflicting information, some saying it's harmless, others warning about all sorts of dangers, and you don't know who to believe. This isn't going to be a lecture, and it's not going to be about shame. I'm not here to tell you that what you've been doing is wrong. I'm here to talk to you as one man to another, openly and honestly, without judgment. Because your sexual health, your energy, your confidence, they matter just as much now as they did when you were younger. Over the next few minutes, we're going to talk about the real truth, not myths, not scare tactics, just the facts about what masturbation means for men as they age, and how you can make sure your habits support your health, your relationships, and the life you want to live. As men get older, a lot of things change quietly in the background. You might notice your energy isn't quite what it used to be, recovery from workouts takes longer, or your sex drive feels different than it did years ago. These shifts are natural. Testosterone levels slowly drop over time, and with that, your body responds differently to sexual arousal and release. Blood circulation, which is crucial for sexual function, can also slow down. Even the prostate, a small gland most men barely think about until there's a problem, changes in size and sensitivity with age. Sexual health isn't separate from the rest of your health. In fact, it's a reflection of it. When your sexual function is good, it often means your heart, hormones, and nervous system are working in harmony. When it's not, it can be a signal that something deeper needs attention. Masturbation, like sex with a partner, can have benefits. It can help you stay familiar with your body, release tension, and even support prostate health when done in moderation. But there's a difference between a healthy habit and one that starts to take more than it gives. When sexual release becomes excessive or compulsive, it can leave you feeling drained instead of refreshed. It can disrupt your sleep, sap your motivation, and even put strain on your relationships if it begins replacing real connection. The truth is, what you do in private can have a ripple effect on your daily life. Your mood, your focus, your confidence, they can all be influenced by your sexual habits. For some men, especially later in life, the body takes longer to bounce back after sexual release. That can mean less energy for work, hobbies, or time with loved ones. Taking care of your sexual health after 40, 50, or 60 isn't about restriction. It's about balance. It's about making sure your habits add to your life rather than slowly wearing you down. When you see your sexual health as part of your overall well-being, you start making choices that keep you feeling strong, clear-headed, and in control. When a man ejaculates, there's a whole cascade of chemical changes in the brain and body. In the moments leading up to release, dopamine, your brain's pleasure and reward chemical, rises sharply. This is what drives sexual excitement and that feeling of wanting more. Right after ejaculation, dopamine levels drop, and another hormone, prolactin, rises. Prolactin is part of what causes the feeling of satisfaction, and also the cool-down period afterward. It signals to your body that it's time to rest. For younger men, this cycle tends to reset quickly. Hormone levels bounce back, energy returns fast, and the desire to be intimate again can show up within hours or a day. But as you get older, recovery times often stretch out. Dopamine spikes aren't as high, testosterone takes longer to rebound, and that post-release fatigue can linger longer than it used to. It's not a sign that something is wrong. It's simply how the body changes with time. Then there's the prostate. This small gland is responsible for producing much of the fluid in semen. Frequent ejaculation does keep the prostate active, but excessive strain, especially when paired with inflammation or existing prostate issues, can cause discomfort or a feeling of heaviness in the pelvic area. For men with enlarged prostates, pushing for release too often may worsen symptoms like urinary urgency or difficulty starting the flow. It's important to separate myths from reality here. Masturbation does not drain your life force or make you weak in some mystical sense, but it can affect your physical energy and mental sharpness if you do it too often. Every ejaculation temporarily lowers testosterone and raises prolactin. If you're releasing several times a day, especially as an older man, your baseline energy and drive may start to feel lower over time. The other factor is the brain's reward system. Constant dopamine spikes from frequent masturbation, especially if tied to pornography, can dull sensitivity over time. This means you may need more stimulation to feel the same level of excitement, and that can carry over into your real-life relationships. The body you have now is not the same body you had at 25. Understanding what's happening on a hormonal and physical level gives you the power to make choices that protect your energy, your focus, and your long-term health. Pleasure should leave you feeling renewed, depleted, and that's where balance becomes key. Sexual habits don't just affect the body, they shape the mind and emotions as well. For many men, the act of release provides a temporary lift. It's a moment of pleasure, of escape, of shutting out stress. But when that becomes a regular coping mechanism, it can quietly start to influence how you feel day to day. Motivation can dip. That extra push to tackle a project, go for a walk, or call a friend might fade. It's subtle at first, but over time, it can turn into a steady background of low energy and mild disinterest in life's challenges. One factor that plays a big role here is pornography. For some men, especially those who started using it regularly in adulthood, it can reshape arousal patterns. The brain begins to expect novelty, constant stimulation, and a certain pace that real-life intimacy rarely matches. This can make partnered sex feel less exciting, even if you care deeply for your partner. For men who are single, it can reduce the drive to seek real connection at all because the screen feels like the easier, safer option. Then there's the emotional side of isolation. As men age, social circles often shrink. Friends move away, work life changes, and relationships sometimes end. In those quiet spaces, masturbation can become a stand-in for intimacy, not just physical intimacy, but the emotional kind. The problem is, while it can temporarily soothe loneliness, it doesn't replace the feeling of being seen, touched, and valued by another person. Over time, the gap between physical release and emotional fulfillment can widen. I once spoke with a man in his late 50s, we'll call him Mark, who had spent years relying on solo pleasure as his main form of sexual expression. At first, it felt harmless, but gradually he noticed he was less interested in dating. He felt tired more often, and his confidence in social situations started to fade. He told me he hadn't realized how much his energy, mood, and even posture had changed until a friend pointed it out. When he cut back and started focusing on connecting with others through friendships, hobbies, and eventually dating, he felt a shift. His motivation returned. He stood taller. He laughed more. The point isn't to say masturbation is bad. It's to recognize when it starts replacing something deeper. Sexual pleasure should add to your life, not take away the drive to live it fully. Finding the right balance isn't about following someone else's rulebook. It's about listening to your body and noticing how your habits affect your daily life. For some men, masturbating a few times a week feels natural and leaves them feeling satisfied without any dip in energy or mood. For others, especially with certain health conditions or lower testosterone levels, even that might feel like too much. The key is to pay attention. After release, do you feel relaxed and recharged? Or do you feel sluggish, less focused, and a little unmotivated? Your answer is your best guide. If you're looking for a general starting point, many doctors suggest that once or twice a week can be a healthy range for older men, allowing time for hormone levels and energy to fully recover. But that's not a rigid rule. What matters is how it impacts you personally. If you find yourself wanting to cut back, it's important not to frame it as punishment. Guilt and shame only create stress, and stress often pushes people right back toward the habits they're trying to change. Instead, think about adding more into your life, not taking away. Physical activity is a powerful outlet, whether that's walking, weight training, swimming, or even dancing. Creative hobbies like playing music, cooking, or building something with your hands can give you a similar sense of satisfaction. Social interaction, meeting a friend for coffee, joining a club, or volunteering feeds the same emotional needs that solo pleasure sometimes tries to fill. And if you have a partner, intimacy doesn't have to mean intercourse every time. Touch, affection, and playful connection can keep your bond alive without the pressure of a full sexual release. I once worked with a man named Daniel in his early 60s who had gotten into the habit of daily masturbation, often late at night while watching videos online. He noticed he was waking up more tired, skipping his morning walks, and losing interest in hobbies he used to love. Instead of trying to quit cold turkey, he started by replacing just 2 of those nightly sessions each week with something else, reading a book, stretching, or calling an old friend. Over time, those small changes grew. Within 2 months, he was down to twice a week, and he told me his mental clarity had improved, his energy was higher, and even his mood felt lighter. The goal isn't perfection. It's finding a rhythm that supports your health and your life. When masturbation is just one part of a bigger, more fulfilling routine, it stops being a drain and starts being something you can enjoy without any negative weight attached to it. The prostate is a small gland about the size of a walnut sitting just below the bladder. Its main job is to produce the fluid that nourishes and carries sperm during ejaculation. Every time you release, the prostate contracts to push that fluid out. Over the years, this gland can go through changes, sometimes growing larger, sometimes developing inflammation, and in some cases, facing more serious conditions like prostate cancer. Research has looked closely at the relationship between sexual activity and prostate health. Some studies suggest that men who ejaculate regularly, whether through sex or masturbation, may have a slightly lower risk of developing prostate cancer, possibly because it helps flush out substances that could cause irritation or inflammation. But duration is important, especially as you age. While staying sexually active can be beneficial, overdoing it can cause strain, especially if you already have prostate enlargement or tenderness. Sexual health is also tied to heart health. Erections depend on healthy blood flow, which means your cardiovascular system plays a major role. Men who keep their circulation strong through regular exercise, good diet, and healthy habits often maintain better sexual function for longer. And because the same blood vessels that supply the penis also serve the heart, changes in sexual performance can sometimes be an early sign of heart problems. That's why regular checkups matter. Your doctor can run simple tests to monitor your prostate, hormone levels, and heart health. These conversations don't need to be awkward. Doctors talk about this every day. And catching small issues early can make a big difference in your long-term well-being. Taking care of your sexual health isn't just about pleasure. It's about protecting your body so you can keep living the way you want for years to come. Your sexuality is more than how often you perform or what you do alone in private. It's part of who you are, tied to your sense of self-worth, confidence, and connection to others. As men age, it's easy to let doubts creep in, wondering if you're still desirable, still capable, or still normal. Those doubts can create pressure, and sometimes that pressure drives habits that leave you feeling drained rather than satisfied. Learning to respect your own body is a key step. Notice what feels good, what energizes you, and what leaves you tired or distracted. Simple awareness can help you separate genuine pleasure from compulsive behavior. Opening yourself to healthy touch, whether from a partner or even through nurturing self-care, reminds you that intimacy is not just physical, it's emotional and psychological too. Replacing compulsive habits doesn't mean giving up pleasure. It means finding more balanced, fulfilling ways to connect with yourself and others. Exercise can be deeply satisfying, not only for your body, but also for your mood and energy. Creative pursuits, hobbies, or even volunteering can redirect focus and give a sense of purpose. And when a partner is involved, prioritizing quality connection over quantity can deepen both intimacy and trust. One man I know started by simply observing his patterns without judgment. He noticed which moments triggered compulsive habits and gently shifted his attention elsewhere: an evening walk, a call with a friend, or a short meditation. Over time, he regained energy, confidence, and a sense of control. His sexuality became a source of pride, not guilt. You deserve to have a healthy, respectful relationship with your own sexuality. By tuning into your body, setting gentle boundaries, and seeking meaningful connections, you can enjoy your sexual self without it controlling your life. There's no shame in self-pleasure. It's a natural part of being human, no matter your age. What matters is how it fits into your life. When masturbation serves your energy, your relationships, and your well-being, it can be a healthy and even positive experience. But when it starts to control your time, your motivation, or your emotional state, it's worth taking a closer look. You're not alone in this. Many men quietly struggle with the same questions, doubts, or habits. Opening up, even just reading this or reflecting on your own patterns, is a powerful first step. And sharing your experiences in a respectful, judgment-free space can bring relief, clarity, and connection. Talking about it doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Your sexual health, your energy, and your confidence don't have to decline quietly with age. You can regain control, set boundaries, and find ways to enjoy intimacy that support your life rather than drain it. Every small, consistent step toward balance matters. So take a moment today to reflect on your habits, your energy, and your relationships. Respect your body, honor your mind, and make choices that empower you. Age does not define your vitality, your desire, or your ability to live fully.